what is now this is again, I hate saying replace because again, you don't replace a guy like Davante Adams. We know that. But when in the draft, let's shift focus more to the draft here. Because there is, like we were just discussing, this is one of the deepest wide receiver drafts I feel like that people don't quite understand because a lot of the mock drafts I've seen, I don't think they realize how good some of these wide receivers are. And Tristan, if I'm being real with you, I feel like 1 to 3 of them could fall to the Packers. We're like, uh-oh. Like we can see a Justin Jefferson type rookie season from a receiver, especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So who are you thinking that they should really in the draft? Give me some names that immediately pop out to you that they should really take a flyer on.
My two favorites, my obvious number one favorite is Chris Olave. Mm-hmm. I do think he'd probably be gone by the 22nd pick.
Most likely.
So that would probably be something they'd need to move up if they wanted to grab him. But something that would be right in front of him, I think, at the 22nd, maybe even into the second round, is George Pickens. Mm-hmm. I know he was hurt. He had a torn ACL and missed most of the 2021 season, but he's a first-round talent. George Pickens. If they fall, I don't know, man. Depends who else is there because they also need some help at tackle now. They got rid of Lucas Patrick and Billy Turner. So I think wide receiver has to be at the top of the list still. Pickens and Olave are still my favorite receivers there. Tackle and edge, I think, are the other two needs. So, I mean, with their first pick, I think they have to go wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Or at least with one of those 2 first-round picks, they need to go wide receiver. Unless they bring in a free agent. If they don't bring a free agent, they need to go wide receiver, and then they need to go tackle. I wouldn't be upset if they didn't go wide receiver and they went tackle or edge, just because those are almost equally as important as the wide receiver, especially when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers where, I mean, obviously he's getting older, but he's the type of quarterback where it almost doesn't really matter who you have as long as they can run a little bit and they can catch. Aaron will put it on you.
He will.
Yeah, it's gotta be a wide receiver. And I'd really like to see them make a push to trade up for Olave. I think he'd fit in real well to the offense, especially if Marquez were to walk in free agency. He would fill that like immediately. He's got the speed. He makes really good contested catches. And then his separation is also probably easily the best in the draft class, in my opinion. The way he separates off the line, which was Devontae's biggest strength, was creating separation immediately off the line. And Olave's route running is really, really clean and polished. So if you're looking for a receiver you can draft who doesn't need a whole lot of working on, who's not very raw, he's like very mechanically sound and very good, Olave he'd have to be the guy. But I'm just assuming he's not going to be there and Green Bay's not going to trade up for him. So I think Pickens would be my next favorite wide receiver in the draft.
I think there's a couple players that I would like. If I saw the Packers get either one of them, I would groan immediately because it's just there's a lot, like we talked about, so many wide receivers in this draft class. Now, obviously, guys like Drake London, I think he's going to be a top 10 pick potentially, probably a top 15 if we're being bold, but. He's one of those guys I would love to. Now, we talked about it, Tristan. The Packers have some serious draft capital here. So you could move up to the top 10, go grab Drake London, who's that 6'4", 6'5", big-bodied receiver that will go up for 50-50 balls, probably win 90% of them for Aaron Rodgers. Also can run like a 4.4. So it's like, okay, you're getting the best of both worlds here in terms of speed. You've got a red zone weapon. That's another thing that Davante Adams did that I don't think a lot of people quite is score touchdowns. And I know that's the most, that's got to be the most impressive thing or whatever. And it is, but it's the most overshadowed thing that Davante Adams did for the Packers that I felt really didn't get enough recognition. He just found a way into the end zone. I really, that was really it. And he was a big red zone target for Aaron Rodgers, and rightfully so. But I do think that, you mentioned Chris Olave, I've seen mock drafts where he goes at 20. So we're talking maybe trading up a 3rd, 4th round pick to the Eagles to go up and get a guy like him ahead of like the Steelers or the Patriots for that matter. So I think it's really interesting when you consider what's on this board. Guys like Treylon Burks. I've had a draft crush on Treylon Burks for months. I think he's a guy that not only creates separation, big play guy that I think would be very interesting. Garrett Wilson, the playmate to Chris Olave, excuse me. So I think there's just so much draft. And even say the Packers, if they, for some reason, Tristan, for some reason, go O-line or something, O-line and another need in the first round there, even in the second, I could see guys like Sky Moore just tearing it up with the Packers here. Like, we're talking about a guy also ran a 4.3. Velus Jones Jr., to me, he was a guy that just blew up at the combine. And he had 800 yards for the Volunteers last year for Tennessee. Big play guy, 4.3 as well. So there's a lot, top to bottom, first to seventh. I think there is, especially with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, there is receivers all around this draft. So if the Packers really like a position more than wide receiver or offensive line, I think they have got some options. Now,